Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory and today is Thursday, February the 28th, 2019, and I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming to the show for the first time the President, Director, and CEO of Blue Sky Uranium. And Mr. Nico Cacos has a very extensive background in mineral exploration. He was one of the founding members of the Grosso group that is mining silver down in Argentina. And we're going to have Mr. Cacos describe what's going on with that project here in just a moment. And you can find the Blue Sky Uranium listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol BSK, and here in the States under the over-the-counter market under the symbol BKUCF. Mr. Cacos, welcome to the Daily Coin.
Rory, thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm really glad that you're here, and I want to kind of open the show up with what I just said right there with the Grosso Group. I mean, you along with a couple of your friends, started this company, and you wound up finding the world's largest silver mine. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Well, you know, Argentina, if you think about it, the word Argentina is Latin for silver. And it was named such for a particular reason, I reckon. You know, 26 years ago, when Argentina opened up, it's in, mining jurisdiction for international investment. We were one of the very first pioneers to be there. And whenever you go into a foreign country like that with such tremendous opportunity, the 8th largest country in the world, there were a lot of opportunities, and we've had a lot of success. Besides discovering the Navidad silver deposit, which is the largest undeveloped silver deposit in the world today, and it's currently owned by Pan American Silver. We also made other discoveries, including the Chinchillas silver mine, which we still co-own with SSR Mining. We put that into production just a couple months ago, and it's currently the 5th largest silver mine in production in the world. So that's 2. We also are discoverers of the Guacamayo gold mine, which Yamana Gold had running until recently. And it's still running the mine, but they have a different owner. And the 4th major discovery we have as a group here is the one that we're going to talk about a little later on. I understand your program is the Ivana uranium vanadium deposit, an entire new district in Argentina.
Yeah, and that's a really, I've been doing a lot of research on that, and that's a really cool project. I cannot wait to get into it, because you guys out there in the audience, you're going to want to pay attention, because this is unbelievable what they have going on. And I really wanted to start with Nico. I wanted to ask you about your opinion of Barrick's recent, very aggressive move on Newmont. And as I'm sure you're well aware, Barrick recently acquired Randgold. And so this new move is a little suspect to me. And Newmont actually called it desperate. And I see it as the next step in the mining industry that has been undercapitalized for about a decade. I mean, the profits have to come from somewhere in order for any company to be viable. I mean, how do you see these mega mergers impacting the mining industry? And do you see this type of scenario in other areas of the resource sector? I mean, will there be mega mergers in uranium or copper, zinc, and the like? I mean, as what we're seeing in the precious metals.
Well, Rory, I view all of this from the lens of the explorationist, of the explorer, which is what my background is.
Right.
And I'm not quite surprised to see this at all. You look back over the last decade or so, and no one has been investing in making new discoveries. Everybody's been producing what they've got. And sooner or later, things, in these mines begin to become depleted, and they start to run out. And then it makes these larger miners more desperate to seek to acquire new resources. Now, because because the mining industry has been on a relatively low, there hasn't been a lot of exploration and a lot of discoveries. So there's a desperation here to contain costs, but more fundamentally, I think there's a desperation to shore up new deposits and achieve new longevity in order to be able to produce more money. And this is exactly where our space here, we've been, in the exploration space, this is where we fit in very nicely. I think we're going to see this calls for a very bullish view in the future. And when there are a few explorers as we are, with the goods to deliver, you're going to see real premiums paid on those, and that's, I think, where shareholders are going to get, those big 1,000% and 2,000% returns.
Yes, I agree completely, and that's what I was alluding to, in my opinion, of what's happening with Barrick right now. I mean, like I said, profits have to come from somewhere, and if the mines are being depleted, there's not been enough capital infusions into the resource sector for a decade for these guys to continue their operations, and the material runs out. That's just the bottom line, and that's where they're at, in my opinion. And speaking of which, I mean, the uranium market has been in about a 7-year bear market, and that seems to be ending. And how do you see this Green New Deal that's been talked about, 7 ways to Sunday? How do you see this thing impacting the momentum that's gathering steam in the uranium mining sector, or do you see it as being a non-factor at this point?
Well, it'll make some people think, more green, but I think this new Green Deal is, is more politics and less in terms of energy. The way I view it is, you look at countries like China that have a lot of pollution in their cities because they produce, they generate electricity, and there they use some very dirty coal or whatever that they use there, and they're looking to clean that up. And for them, rather than refurbish these old coal production facilities, that what they do is they look at nuclear energy, because nuclear energy burns clean. Nowadays it's a lot cheaper to build a nuclear reactor, and a lot quicker than it used to be. And the price of and it's creating we're seeing a lot of these nuclear reactors being built all around the world right now. Yep. And it's creating a demand for uranium, and we're seeing that demand creeping into the price. Just in the last year, the price of uranium's up almost 50%. So that's not an insignificant move, and I think we're gonna continue to see that going forward.
Yeah, I think China is on record for saying that they were going to build like 30 nuclear power plants, and I know even a country like United Arab Emirates, I think they announced they were going to build 2 last year. I mean, this is an oil-producing country which is nuts.
It makes you shake your mind. Like, if you have all the oil you want in the world, what the heck are you doing building nuclear reactors? So obviously, the companies that are contracting the utilities, they obviously see positive economics in this, and that's where nuclear energy comes in.
Exactly. And it just like I was saying, it appears that this bear market is coming to an end. And it also, Nico, all markets have particular points on a chart that all the technicians are looking at, and it seems that $30 a pound is what I've recently heard someone say that is the break point for uranium, and with it sniffing around the $29 per pound mark right now, I mean, are we going to see some fireworks this year in the uranium market? Or actually, Nico, what is the market telling you at this point?
Well, we're seeing the market in uranium definitely emerging from the bare state that it's been in the last almost decade. And the last time that the uranium market started to make move like this, it went from $20, it hit $135, $140 a pound, and there was just an absolute pandemonium in the uranium industry. There was a lot of money that was made during that time. It was a real hype. And I think right now what we're seeing with the price of uranium coming out, but the reasons and the fundamentals behind this being that there's a lot of new nuclear reactors and a lot of new demand being created around the world. I think we're going to see a steady break up through 30. I think I've read some reports, people are projecting, $60, $65 over the next couple of years. And I think it could go a lot higher than that. And, those that are making money in today's environment are like blue sky uranium, which our economic studies indicate that we're profitable in this environment. I think in the next few years are going to be able to be really ahead of the curve and have some significant returns for shareholders.
I would agree completely. And speaking of blue sky uranium, you guys are listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol BSK, and here in the United States on the over-the-counter market under the symbol BKUCF. And you guys are on the cusp of releasing your preliminary economic assessment, the P report, which is a key component to advancing a project to the next level. And can you give us a couple of the more significant points for the listeners? If you want to read the report, you can visit blueskyuranium.com, and it should be posted there within a few days. But there was some information that I found earlier today, Nico, on goldseek.com, and it's what I'm looking at is that you guys have about $100 million in capital right now, or am I misreading that? Am I reading that properly?
No, that's the value of the project right now, just $135 million. And what we announced today is that, the average, if you look around at the contracts, that the average utility contract that they buy uranium for, most utility companies pay between $50 and $60 a pound. So our report here indicates that our all-in sustaining costs, all our costs in there, we can produce it for $18 a pound. So the rest of it is all basically gravy. And as the price of uranium goes up, there's some really healthy profit margins in here. So it speaks volumes about the robustness of the project that we have here.
So that means that right now, when you guys start producing if you guys were to start pulling uranium out of the ground today, you would already be profitable. Is that right?
Exactly. Absolutely, that is correct.
So, I mean, that has to be just incredibly exciting for you guys, as far as to know that that's already you guys are already profitable.
I know, and this goes, Rory, goes right along what we were talking about earlier. With Barrick and Newmont, it's the same thing with the uranium space. In the last 10 years, there hasn't been a lot of exploration in uranium simply because the price of uranium has been depressed. But we've been working diligently behind the scenes because we've known that the scale of this deposit, it's not just a deposit, it's an entire district in southern Argentina.
Wow.
And the fact that, we had a hunch in our stomach that this is going to be really cheap to extract simply because it sits right up at surface and a very simple process to extract the uranium out. And this report basically proves us right. And now I think our next stage here is going to be expand the size of this deposit. And I could see us putting, generating and producing uranium next 2 or 3 years here. And the environment is going to be just spectacular. Now, the question is, are we going to be the ones doing it, or is there going to be somebody trying to take us over, kind of like what Barrick's doing to Newmont? And I guess that's the fun that remains to be seen.
Well, if they do, they better come with a very deep pocket, because you guys, like we're just pointing out, you're already in the black. So why would you give it away? You wouldn't. So.
We're not giving it. There's no way we're giving it away. For the right price, yes.
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness! Well, I love it. Like I said, I was telling the audience at the beginning, you guys need to stick around, because this is really exciting, in my opinion. I think it's awesome, and if I understood correctly, I mean, you guys have the option on like 300,000 acres down there in Argentina. Is that right? To be able to expand this?
We have, there's a zone there that runs, and I think, sorry, I'm Canadian, so I think metric. So it runs 145 kilometers long by 50 kilometers wide. It's a massive district. It's like the distance from Vancouver to Seattle.
Wow.
And it's a massive zone. We control the whole land block there. Right now we've got just under 23 million pounds of uranium. And our goal is going to be to increase this, double, triple, quadruple it, because these types of deposits can grow, can become very, very large. And I believe what we have here is going to be something amongst one of the world's largest and lowest cost uranium producers. And this is something, and we're positioned right now at the right point in this resurging and coming back uranium market. I think we're going to have, our shareholders are going to have some great returns.
Well, you have the Midas touch, it seems like, especially in Argentina. I mean, you've discovered the world's largest silver deposit, and now you're sitting on top of this gargantuan uranium deposit that could potentially be if it's not the world's largest, it's certainly going to be in the top 5, I would think. So whatever you're doing down there, Nico, keep doing it.
Well, yes, our batting average is pretty darn good down there,
I would say. And my last question, I mean, and it pertains to mining. And as you are well aware, it's all about the host nation. And as we're seeing in South Africa right now, as we're having this conversation, South Africa was once the largest gold mining nation in the world. The recent regime change, in my opinion, is crippling the mining industry, as the national leadership seems to be a rudderless ship. And the Argentinian government is welcoming and making it easier to do business, because they like capitalism. And they kind of need you, since Argentina has decided to build out a couple more nuclear power plants, and they're currently importing all the uranium to fire the plants. And how's that working out for Blue Sky Uranium?
Well, we have a ready-made buyer there.
Exactly.
And the new Argentinian government here, the government of Mr. Macri, he's a self-made billionaire. He runs the country like a business. The mining secretariat, they're all MBA people, fluent in English. They're tearing down all kinds of red tape and regulations, and looking to get business up and going, because they recognize the importance of mining and the importance of energy like uranium. There couldn't be a better environment for us to be working in. And, we get all the support that we need. So the timing for us is absolutely perfect.
And you guys, I would imagine, are being as environmentally friendly as you can be. I mean, mining is not really all that friendly to the environment. However, it's a necessary, part of life, period. I mean, you can't get around it. And my guess is, Nico, is that you guys have quite a bit of the infrastructure in place to build the mine and to get everything up and running at this point.
We've got access to rail, we've got access to power, we've got access to a pool of people and workers, and we have consent. We've worked very carefully with the local communities. And in terms of the environment, it's interesting. This whole area where the uranium occurs naturally, after we go through it, there'll be no radioactivity there at all. In fact, we'll be doing a mop-up operation.
Wow.
When we look at it.
Wow, that's okay. So That's great. And like you said, you've got a ready-made customer, and not to mention what's going on, what we discussed a minute ago in China and United Arab Emirates and several other nations around the world, that all of the heartland nations that are that are working closely with Russia and China, all of those smaller nations, all the stands, they're all looking at nuclear power as well, because it's the only thing that makes sense to them, for what they're trying to accomplish.
That's right. It's cheaper right now to build these reactors than it was 30 years ago. It's cheaper to operate them, and it doesn't take as long to put them together, and they're really quite safe, very secure.
There you go. Well, Nico, is there anything you would like to leave the audience with, or have we overlooked anything?
No, I just think, we have like I said earlier, we had a pretty good batting record in Argentina, making some pretty big world-class discoveries. This one here with Blue Sky Uranium is one that's going to really stand out. And, the only thing I ask, watch us, take a look at us, give us a call if you got any questions. Be happy to answer it. I think we're on to something pretty big here. I
would agree with all of that. And you guys, all the contact information is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Nico, for all your time today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you. And you can find out much more about Blue Sky Uranium by following the links that are in the description box below. You can find them listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbols BSK, and you can find them here in the States on the over-the-counter market under the symbol BKUCF. Nico, thank you so much for all your time today, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Thank you for having me, Rory, and I look forward to get together with you in the future as well.